Peace. Nappy here. Like, share, subscribe. Just wanted to get into this reparations talk. Really about reparations. I was on this just a couple of days ago, almost a week actually. I was on this live stream and the subject of reparations happened to come up. Shout out to Psycho and Renee, by the way. The theme of the show originally was the 2020 election. I mean, it's over now, and I guess, maybe, depending on who you talk to. I mean, unless something, Trump changed himself to the Oval Office, it's done. There's even talks about him going to war with Iran. Maybe he's trying to find a way he can stay in office, but it's done. It's done. So you got your new slave master in charge, I guess. I guess you got your pick, but let's just get into the reparations. So I injected my opinion regarding the amount of money that should be paid out. Now, full admission, my family's from Jamaica. Father, mother, whole family Jamaican, Canada, England. I've been here longer though. I wasn't born in Jamaica, but I've been here long. I've been to the other places, of course. But since I'm in this environment, obviously, I have an opinion on this. But my opinion, some of you may dismiss it, but I can only go by what I see here. I mean, I got opinions on CARICOM and others as well. But it's okay. I'm just going to give my opinion on what I see. So there's a lot of numbers that's been thrown out there regarding how much reparations should be. I know Marianne Williamson, she gave 200 to 500 billion, which is peanuts, by the way. And I understand because people were getting very hyped up when she jumped in about reparations. But to give such a number is really spitting in your face. But it just shows you how she understands. Because if you're talking about getting reparations, and I just understand that in order to achieve that goal, the two things that are tantamount to achieving that goal are separation, definitely separation, but also, potentially, most likely, bloodshed. So she throws out that number, but understand, she as a white woman understands that this system, how it's set up, benefits her the most. So obviously she's not going to give you a figure, a sizable figure that's going to help you while hurting herself. All right? I heard Tariq give 15 trillion, and I've spoken about that in another video. That's pocket change. But this dude right here in the live, and I'll leave a link in the description, by the way, his number was 25 trillion. And I told him that was peanuts. Now, you have to look at it in the context too. Is it 25 trillion one-time payout? Is it 25 trillion a year, 25 trillion a quarter? Because the number that I gave him, I said the bottom number that you got to get is 500 quadrillion. And he was like, nah, that's unrealistic, bro. That's unrealistic. But hold on a second. Hold on. See, 500 quadrillion, but that should be paid out over an extended period of time. Jewish people Israel has gotten 3 billion over an extended period of time over this United States, year after year after year. So why can't the people who have built this place and whose ancestors have gone through so much pain, why can't they get a yearly amount? 500 trillion, and then I said the ceiling should be sextillions, SEX tillions. That means 21 zeros after the one. He said that's crazy. He said that's just unrealistic, bro. People are going to turn around. But wait a minute there. Hold on. Because I ran into this article right here. This article, which is called the Richest the richest American families, and it's from this website. I'll leave a link in that too, Family Minded. And I just want to go through, first of all, the Tone Talks have brought up the family wealth gap, because that's always being brought up. The wealth gap of families. And I think that's important to draw into context with this article. And the wealth gap is simply this, and it's a 1 minute. If you've watched Antonio Moore's videos, and I'll put that in the link as well, he puts a parallel between the wealth gap between white Americans and black Americans. And in a nutshell, there's 190 million whites and there's 40 million blacks. Now, on that number, understand the 40 million blacks, now that's changed. Because now with this ADOS and FBA, everything has been muddied, everything has been blurred. Because now people are saying, well, are you black American? Well, nah, you have your family's from England, well, your family's from Canada, and this. All this foolishness has been dropped in. But I'm just going to use this $40 million figure, because blackness, now, you can be multiracial and black, you could be light-skinned, but they're making Kamala black. She's not even black, she's a white Indian. So blackness has been blurred, and so is whiteness, to be fair. But let's just use this figure. 190 million whites, 40 million blacks. 190 million whites have 82 million homes to the 40 million blacks that have 14 million homes, right? Those 190 million whites have 90% wealth, where blacks have 2.6% wealth. And that 2.6% wealth is held by the black baby boomer retirees, which leaves the working class family basically invisible. The bottom 50% controls 1% of the wealth, of national wealth. And only 10 million families, this is 10 million families, this is over out of the 40 million, have zero wealth, right? Now, from what he says, and this is out of the study, the minus a family car, 7.5 million black families, right? This is out of the 14 million homes. So this is like half plus, are only worth $1,700. Where with white families, 1.4 million, 8 million white families are worth 1.4 mil. And broken down, that's 823 times more than the average black family. You see why quadrillions is not such a stretch? But here's even more though. Let's go to this article with the richest families in every U.S. state. All of them are white, obviously, okay? And they got some crazy names. They got Zuckerberg of Facebook. I mean, when did he become a family? All right, so but whatever. Zuckerberg, they say the Zuckerberg family. I thought he borrowed money from his parents or something. But the Bezos family, they're up in Washington, the Amazon guy. Again, just all of a sudden you become super rich, you become a family. But out of 50 states, obviously 50 families, right? Like a third of them are Jewish. That's just to throw that in there. Whether they're Austrian or German, or a third of them are Jewish immigrants, Cuban and what have you. A few of them American. Obviously, most whites, they come from Europe, so they all have European backgrounds or whatever. But that's 50 families. When I broke down the wealth in their families, like added up all their wealth, out of those 50 families, the total amount for that is $1 trillion to $1 trillion 250. In other words, $1.2 trillion is what they all are put together, which is about $25 billion per family. Now keep in mind, okay, these are the families. When I went down to Forbes' list of 400s, there are also about, because they break down the 400 between Americans and Asians, and they've broken down to different countries. I just dealt with strictly Americans. There's 118 individuals on that Forbes list And the total amount they're worth, and these are people from Larry Ellison of obviously Oracle, Michael Bloomberg, Mackenzie Scott. She's Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. She's on the list. You see, they're just counting the guys who started the companies. They're not even counting people who were divorced or people who make transactions from each other. For example, just now, one of the guys on the list is a guy by the name of Steve Cohen. He's a hedge fund guy. He just bought the Mets for $2.4 billion by the family of Fred and Jeff Wilpon. They've owned the Mets for about 20, 30 years now. After buying the Mets themselves, they originally bought the Mets back in the 80s with Doubleday. He's the guy who's from the Book Empire. All right. No, they bought it with him. They put in about $50 million. Then they bought the majority stake in 2002 for $831 million. And now Steve Cohen, who is a minority owner, he bought it for $2.4 billion. So now the Wilpons are billionaires. And think about this. Obviously, they threw Oprah on the list. Oprah's like the token billionaire they threw on the list. But let's just go through the billionaires that black people supposedly have. Jay's worth $1.1 billion. Diddy's worth $1 billion. Kanye's worth $1 billion. Maybe $2 billion. Oprah's worth 2.6 if I remember on this list. Then there's Robert Smith, the guy who paid off all the debt at Morehouse. He's a billionaire. He's worth $5 billion. Off this list on Forbes 400, add all of them up. There's 118. It's 1.3 trillion altogether with this list. An average of between 11 and 12 billion per person. That means one person on this super rich list is worth as much, if not more, than the 5 billionaires that black people have. You think about that. At 11 billion, and this is like 132 trillion, we're talking about 5 billionaires, and the white billionaires, they have about 100, if I calculate it right, I got to go back to it because I don't have it in front, maybe about 130 or something in wealth, more, 30% more wealth than those 5 guys. That's why I threw in $5 billion at minimum. Okay? So on a yearly basis, you're talking about, if you add both the families and the individuals together, we're talking about 2.5 trillion. Black people, 2.5 trillion. Black people, in my opinion, if you want to make this fair, since your vet keeps talking about we need the reparations to catch up, you should get a $5 trillion reparations over 20 years, if we're talking monetarily. Now, if you broke that down into 40 million, and once people start getting into the foolishness of, well, you're not American, I'm American, I don't want to get into how you become American. I've talked about that in the last video, and Jamar brought that up in the interview with Tariq. It's damn near impossible, but whatever. Let's say that there's about, if you cut it in half, to about $20 million, 20 million black people. All right? Well, let's just break it down to 10 million black people. Then every black person would get 1.3 million per year. Per year. All right? Now, that's just individuals. Is that spread out for your family? So 1.3 million, is that for your family? If you have a family of 2, if you have a family of 15, it's 1.3 million. What if you have a family of 20? There's some guys who have a bunch of kids. Some people are just individuals. How is it broken down? Either way, even with that, you still won't be able to catch up with these people. You're simply millionaires. We're talking about people who are billionaires, even trillionaires. You're food in this country. You're literally a life source to these people in this country. Why would they give it up? Why would they say, okay, we're done now? So Plus, you have to cut through all the red tape to find out who's black, who's a slave, who's part of the lineage. Stop listening to fools who think, well, my grandfather. Because notice when these guys talk about it, they just say, well, yeah, my grandfather's from the South. You got to go deep, generation after generation after generation. That is difficult to do. And one thing that was glaring in this list of families, all of them come from different cultures, but they're all Caucasoids. They don't give a shit about it. They care about the money. While you're sitting here fighting each other over petty shit, all right, making up stories just to get this bullshit narrative out there, like you're gonna get a check from bashing a person who's literally your brother. They're sitting here making money hand over foot from you. 800% more money than you, and that's just from the low amount. 168, that's the families and the individuals I just named that have all that trillions of dollars in wealth. And I haven't even mentioned the people that they do business with. So, what other things would you need besides money? Maybe you don't have to pay parking tickets again. Maybe you can park anywhere in the city when you want to. Get free health care, no taxes, free education. All of those things, because that's what you need, because the money is, you're never going to catch up with the money. So stop saying cut the check, because you're never going to catch up with the check. And for a country that went into bloodshed with you just so that you can vote, just so you can have housing, just so that you can have that you can be considered a human being, now you're going to fight for the money? Malcolm said it best, that nothing but bloodshed is going to occur after that. And I don't know if you're ready for it. Maybe you are. Not with the leadership you have, that's for sure. So check out the links. Check out the, some of you may have other ideas on how this works. But yeah, that wealth gap is wider than you can even imagine. 2.5 trillion per year, and that's between 168 families and individuals. Good luck. Like, share, subscribe, peace, and big up on yourself.